I just realized I should have, I forgot to take my cholesterol medication. I'm going to do that one point during the podcast before Pauly gets here. But all right, guys, welcome back to the Side Dish Podcast. I'm your host, Aaron Shin, joined as always by my co-host, Jay Lee.
Hello.
And we are joined today by our special recurring guest, James Chung.
Pleasure to be here as usual.
What's up, James? I haven't seen you in 4 days. How's life been?
It's been great. It's weird how 4 days does feel.
It feels like an eternity.
Yeah, we see each other very frequently.
More frequently than I'm willing to bet most friends see each other. Yeah.
I'm surprised we're not sick of each other.
I thought you were going to say more often than you would like.
I'm a pretty social person. So.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I was talking about this with Pauly, my friend who's visiting.
Right. Who we'll have later on in the
we'll
episode.
bring him up later.
Yeah.
But he was talking about how like we have all these like kind of impromptu hangouts. Like, oh, I'm at Sam's house, or people are at my house, or your house, or or wherever. And we'll just kind of like all gather up, no plans, and just hang out. And I guess he was like remarking on that experience, and I was thinking about how like it's not even necessarily a thing about being in Korea, but I don't know. We just have like cool friends that live near each other. It's really fun.
Well, it's because we just don't work traditional jobs.
That also helps, for sure.
We're in a very unique situation that way. Also, that we're neighbors. Let's recap January in that case, guys. It's the end of January. I was trying to not drink. I broke it, I think, 4 total times. But each time I broke it, I got pretty fucked up. Especially last Thursday. Jay and I drank, I want to say we finished 1 bottle of tequila and then finished some mezcal that you had.
Yeah, well, we had been drinking tequila
with a bunch of people.
With a bunch of people. And then we finished that and then had like a couple shots of mezcal.
Yeah, I woke up the next day like feeling really good, and then I realized I was still drunk. So while Chaehyun and I were driving over to skiing, I got weird like sort of chills. Yeah. And I knew it was the alcohol. I just didn't want to say anything because she would have yelled at me or something. So,
but the truth comes out now.
Yeah.
I think that the elephant in the room is Aaron's recent engagement.
I guess I did have a really eventful January. Yeah. Thank you guys for coming out. James, thank you so much for being the photographer.
Really, I was rusty.
Yeah.
But we got to.
You came through, man.
We captured the moment.
Yeah.
And it's really what matters.
It's funny that my engagement fell on January 24th, the coldest day of January. By a pretty big margin. It was windy. It was fucking cold. Luckily, it was sunny. And a bunch of you guys came out to surprise my now fiancé at our local bar, and she was totally caught off guard. She had no fucking idea.
I loved like the like elaborate ruse we had to like put up. I know because like we're Jaehyun is very like she's like a hawk, right?
Yeah, she notices things. She won't even always notice things though, but there'll be like she might perceive without even knowing what it is, like a shift. So that's why, James and Sue were instrumental in helping with this engagement. But Sue was the one who was like, do not text Aaron at all. Nobody text him whatsoever regarding this thing. Only talk to me and James, which helped because if I was if my phone was blowing up, especially day before, day of, Chaehyun would have been like, hey, what's going on? I mean, several times she was like, were you on the phone with someone just now? And I'd be like, oh yeah, it's just Sue. She just wants to hang out, whatever. But even though I'm really just trying to desperately coordinate this thing and make sure she doesn't catch on.
Yeah, I was very impressed with everyone, like the friend group, just because even like the Friday before the engagement, we all hung out.
Yeah, and no one brought it up.
No one made a single.
I know.
Yeah.
So like there was a kind of a general awareness between the friends that the engagement was going to happen, and I know at least one person almost spilled the beans.
Yeah,
and
really.
Yeah, like Jaehyun, we were at the bar, we were at Southside Parlor, and Jaehyun walks in, and I don't know if I should.
You can say it. Yeah.
It was Amy, and Amy knew it too. Amy like looks at Jaehyun's like, Jaehyun,
like tears welling in her eyes, tears of happiness, and
then
Jaehyun's just like, what?
And she was like, and I had to stand there, and I was like, Amy, shut up, Amy.
Oh my god.
Because Amy is notoriously bad at keeping secrets, but we love her for it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, keeping it a secret for me wasn't that hard because I'm actually pretty. I don't want to say lying because that's not really it, but I can carry on. I can act. Let's put it that way. I can act. My heart was like beating really fucking hard that morning. I was super nervous. I was like fumbling with my phone, but I think I acted pretty cool. I recorded the entire thing, and actually James has like GoPro camera footage of the engagement. I don't even know if we're gonna put this on the episode or not for the Instagram, because depending on how Jaehyun feels about it. But I'm just so grateful that we captured every moment of it, and it all went according to plan.
I would love to like set the stage. Like the idea was, Aaron wanted to like pretend there was a brunch in a neighboring kind of area, and on the way over, there's a bridge. At which point there would be like flowers and the ring like kind of planted, and he would accidentally come across it, and then like come up have an excuse to like
get down on one knee.
Get down.
But
on
like
one
the
knee.
entire walk from our apartment to the restaurant, I had also like written a sort of speech that. There were like all these bullet points I wanted to hit, and I wanted it to land on as we're taking the elevator up to the bridge. That I would say, from the moment I met you, I knew that I would want it to be with you, and I'm so glad that we've grown into this couple. And getting out of the elevator, and seeing the flowers, I kind of wanted it to be like that, and it pretty much did, except that we kept the flowers and the ring inside like a box on the bridge so it wouldn't blow away. And I like look over and I'm like, what is that, babe? Oh my God, like, yo, moya, like someone left flowers. And you can just hear Jaehyun in all the recording. She's like, babe, don't touch that. Babe, that's dirty. What are you doing?
Which is exactly what I said was going to happen.
No, totally.
I was like, Aaron, I don't even know if this is a good idea because she's going to say it's gross.
Yeah. But I just had to push through it. And I was like, she was like, don't put your hand in there.
I mean, if you like in the, so I set up a GoPro, could not tell like which way it was, whether it was shooting correctly, but hoping that it would capture the moment. And you could see like the ring was positioned inside this like cushion, and she almost like rips it out of your hand like right before you grab the ring.
Yeah.
It was like honestly a near miss.
Yeah, that'd be crazy if the ring just got flung into the street.
Like, because there's like a highway below. It was like, literally just like her reacting like, oh, that's so gross, honey, don't touch that.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
I don't know. Very, very, very lovely moment.
Yeah, and then followed by like a huge party at the Pocket. My old friend Robbie came out to, he owns the place, but essentially just like bartended for us for a few hours. We had food from Morocco Cafe. It's like in my head, it all kind of came together in this organic Gyeongnidan, Itaewon F&B friends kind of way, and which made me feel really good because ever since I met the F&B guys, I kind of dreamed of something like that,
Honestly, execution-wise, perfectly according to plan.
Yeah,
everything, every little like,
and it was all downhill from there. I was kidding. No, Jen was so high off that party because first of all, she needed like time to gather her thoughts, but she was so like overwhelmed and in shock. When we came home, we just chilled her for 3 hours, like really just letting it sink in. Like the reality is like, okay, now we're gonna be building this life, and it's like it's pretty heavy, dude. Like my friends who messaged me who are married were like, welcome to the show. Like, this is when it starts. This is when one of my friends said, this is when the fun begins. And I'm like, oh, is this when the fun begins? I thought marriage was when the fun dies. But I'm kidding. I'm super excited to get married. But
I guess the question, and I might have asked you before, but I was like, I'm wondering like when, or maybe for the audience, but like when did you know?
I think I made a decision. I went back though. Like I would be like, I think I'm ready. And that was maybe like 6 months in. And then about 9 months in, I was like, no, we should wait a little bit. And then about like a year in, I was like, no, I think we're ready. Like I had this plan of maybe proposing by December of last year. That was my original plan.
Whoa.
Like right before Christmas. But I was so stressed with work, and I just couldn't, I didn't have any fucking mental capacity to like research rings, which honestly is super easy. I thought I used that as a huge excuse to like not do research and like kind of put it off. The moment I made the decision, which was like ultimately after kind of talking to Jaehyun, and then also I had a conversation with Sue that really helped too. That was kind of like, you know what? I think I'm ready. And then literally the next day I asked Sue to help me go look for rings. A few days later, we had scheduled the appointment. I bought the ring pretty much after like 2 hours. We went to a cafe. I thought about it. I bought the ring that day. It took another 2 weeks for it then to set it and everything. And during that 2 weeks, I was preparing my speech and kind of thinking. And it all really came together. But definitely, like my plan was to do it before Christmas. I couldn't make that deadline. And so I knew that I wanted to do it soon after,
I think I just like... I was worried because we had to be planted. Sue and I had to be planted like in the street, kind of keeping watch.
Yeah.
And making sure that the ring was in position and like that we would be able to be there to take photos. We didn't want to get caught beforehand because, we don't want to like ruin the surprise.
Yeah.
And my grand plan, like before leaving the house was I'm going to put a costume on. I'm going to wear a disguise, which amounted to like me parting my hair differently and not wearing
glasses. Yeah.
And I looked at myself in the mirror and I'm like, I look the same.
I mean, I saw you poking your head out.
Yeah.
But luckily Jayon didn't see anything. But yeah, I mean, again, thank you guys like so much for coming out, and you guys being there is part of what made it. Not part of it was like half of what made it so special. Otherwise, I was just gonna do it private with Jaehyun, which I think she would have liked. But maybe this is something I would love to hear from listeners. Like, I think some girls want there to be a record, like someone taking photos and someone with a video camera stalking you guys. And I guess some girls are different.
Yep.
I know Jaehyun ultimately would have been happy with either, but I know she was very happy that like friends were there and that it was a surprise.
Yeah, that's good.
I feel like maybe before it happens, you can have a feeling, but I feel like always in life, if you're able to capture a moment on video or on photo, it is meaningful later in a way that it's hard to like predict in the present.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we have a lot of photos from that day, and we have a good amount of footage. So, I mean, we're going to show that shit to our kids one day, which really blows my mind that they're going to be able to see that and also listen to this episode in theory. Like, they're going to have a really, like, interesting understanding of who mom and dad are, which kind of, like, trips me out, low-key.
Man. Just imagining your kids listening to all those stories.
I know, though, I'm going to be the kind of dad that tells them those stories anyways. If anything, they're going to be like, I guess dad's telling the truth because when he was 35 his memory recalls those blah.
It's interesting though. You have to like, maybe you would want to warn your kids beforehand. I say this because I have a friend, her father is a writer, right? And I might have told you this story, but it's like her father's a writer and he's a poet, but he had written a memoir and gave her an advance copy and she was so excited to read it. But then, like, one day, randomly, she just texts me. It's like, that moment when your father gives you his, like, pre-release memoir and there's a very explicit masturbation scene in it.
Yeah.
And then later, she's like, I wish, honestly, he just at least warned me.
Yeah.
But then, like, I don't know. It's like, and then I guess she did talk to her dad. He was just like, I mean, it's my, it's like my piece. Like,
it's also like his life, Just because you have kids doesn't necessarily mean you have to censor yourself or be less gross and honest. I don't know. That's like, I want to have kids, and a lot of me is tripping out about like that's like a weird trippy process. And now at least Jaehyun and I are in a position where we can start thinking and planning for those things. Whereas before we were engaged, there was a whole world that you didn't think about, you didn't have to think about. And I think that was what my friend was saying about this is when the fun begins, because it is very fun to have this understanding that we're moving forward together and we can make decisions together. But it's also extremely hard because now you have to account for this other person.
I think it's very beautiful, though.
It
in
is.
some ways. I mean, I have a question. Are you going to move in with her before you get married?
I hope so. We wouldn't be moving into our first home together until after we get married.
Okay.
But I definitely want her to be here all the time.
Or you think her parents are more chill about it now?
I don't know. We'll have to see.
Interesting.
It's only been about a week, It hasn't even been a full week, actually. It's only been 6 days.
Was it? Okay, yeah.
So we'll have to see. But while I'm in America for the month of March, I want her to be able to sleep here and like commute to work because her work is super close to my apartment.
Right.
Her parents' house is super far. It just makes sense. Like stay at your fiance's place. But it's funny. I've read research that couples that live together before they get married have a higher instance of divorce.
Right.
I don't know how accurate that data is, but Jaehyun and I are very aware of that statistic, to be honest.
Yeah, I never know how to feel about that statistic because
you lived with your girlfriend though for a long time, right?
Yeah,
and then you guys ended up breaking up. You were dating someone, Jay, for longer than I've dated my fiance.
Yeah.
And so there's I feel feel like there's so much that you learned through that, whatever, 9 year, 6 years,
almost
right?
6, yeah.
I've never been with one girl for more than my longest relationship was almost 4 years, right?
Yeah.
But the funny thing is that at no point during that 4 years with that ex did I think I wanted to marry her. And I realized that, Jaehyun, I think, was the first one that I really thought about it and was like, yeah, I'm down. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, there was a long time of just going on dates and dating people for months at a time, really just being like, I'm going to have fun. And then when I get bored, we'll just move on, And then I just had to put the fucking kibosh on that. I had to stop doing it,
Definitely.
And I'm really glad I did.
That's a huge mindset thing for sure. But I feel like I've always felt like I've gone back and forth on that for sure. But I definitely know, like, if you're in the mindset of just dating just to, like, I don't know.
Like, companionship is big, for sure.
Sure, yeah.
And I have some close friends that are happy having a girlfriend and vice versa. Like, their girlfriend's happy just having a boyfriend for many, many years. And then when things fall apart, then they'll just go their separate ways. I would much rather just lock it down and be like, you can't go anywhere. Like, even if you fucking hate me now and you're sick of me, we're going to have to work through this because that's what getting married is. And I'm too stubborn to not, like, succeed. Like, and Jaehyun and I work really hard on our relationship. And I know that's why we have something that I've never had with another girl is that we just care too much,
I think it's funny because I had this conversation or a similar one with Pauly years ago, and he quoted RuPaul. And I think it was something like, it's not about finding the one, it's about the series of ones or something like that. And I was like,
that leads to 10.
But I was like, honestly, that sounds kind of slutty. And he's like, yeah, you're probably right. But it's a mindset thing and everyone's different. There's no like one kind of like way to approach relationship.
For sure.
It doesn't really matter also like the number of years you're with someone because when I was in that relationship, I was very young, right? So
that's true.
I wouldn't have been in like I wouldn't have had the capacity to kind of
make
Actually, I mean, I did.
I mean, you did, yeah. Because like your girlfriend was like, "I'm moving to Texas. Are you coming with me?" Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's like being in a relationship for like 6 years, 10 years versus like 1 year, and maybe in that 1 year you know that you want to get married to this person. Like that's. Yeah, it doesn't really matter.
I forget who. Maybe it was my sister. Someone a long time ago told me that if you don't know if you want to marry someone after 18 months of dating, then you're probably not going to get married. Or you're probably not going to be happy because you're just always going to go back and forth. And that number figured largely. Because that's when I was like a year in, 9 months, I was like, okay, yeah. And then I was like, I don't know. I still have, 6 more months to figure it out. And feeling that I did impose a little bit of pressure on myself because also Jan and I started dating with the understanding that we were like looking for marriage. And so the things we talked about were very heavily focused on like practical adult things and like a lot of what I think we find attractive in each other also kind of relates to the balance that we bring to each other as not just like two single people, shacking up, but as future parents and as future like homeowners and future taxpayers. Like, how are we going to interact on a day-to-day basis that is going to make sure life goes smoothly? It's something that I think about quite frequently,
When I first met you guys, it definitely felt like you guys had been dating longer than you guys had been.
Yeah, well, because when we started hanging out, we spent so much fucking time together. She wasn't working when we first started dating. That was June 2021, and she was like free all summer. And my job is not a real job, so I was free all summer. We spent that summer just going on staycations to like every hotel that had a swimming pool in Korea. We did like a bunch of staycations there. It was just a lot of fun.
I think that's like the whole thing when people talk about like, oh, it's all about timing.
Yeah, well, the timing couldn't have been better because I proposed right before I'm going to the States for a month to see my family. I get back to Korea the day before my birthday. We're going to party it up all of March. And then I think Jay and I want to go traveling to Italy in May. And then, we haven't actually decided on like wedding dates or venues or anything like that. I'm down to just do it by the end of this year. Instead of like, I don't want to have a long engagement. I want to like get shit going. I want to,
yeah.
When you were younger, didn't you? I feel like we all had this idea that we would be married by the time we're 27 or something. Maybe that was just me though.
Well, I think that your parents, probably similar to mine, were married. My parents were married long before my age right now, right? So
Right.
I'm 34. My parents were married probably like 28, which some people back then got married much earlier than that,
for sure.
right?
But the fucked up thing is, like, like my sister got married when she was 23, and Jaehyun's sister also got married when she was 23. So like our kind of, and obviously her parents were pretty young. Well, actually her dad's a little bit older, but in any case, like, it's just interesting that, even our siblings kind of followed in our parents' footsteps, whereas like Jaehyun and I are very much like middle 30s getting married. Like I don't think we're going to be able to have enough gas in us to raise 2 kids. That's kind of like something I've thought about. So like we're going to be one of those old couples with that one superstar child that we pour every resource into who's maladjusted and doesn't, and is weird. And
or you go to like a PTA kind of like, or like, like a PTA meeting. It's
we
like all the
just
parents are
gone there.
gathered.
Yeah.
My sister got married like late 20s maybe, but she had been like with her boyfriend since college.
Yeah,
freshman year. And so
can you imagine marrying the person that you've been with since you were basically 2 people ago? Like, people who've been together since high school, it's like you were a different person in high school, then you're a different person in college, and then you're kind of a different person in your, like, they've seen that growth and that track record, which is pretty fucking cool. But also it's like, it's impressive, I think, that people can kind of grow in that same direction together.
it's interesting, like, it took me a while to kind of like when I was younger, sure, I could have imagined, oh yeah, maybe I wouldn't mind being married by the time I'm like my mid to late 20s or something like that. But I feel like when I decide to like start considering dating more seriously again, it will definitely be with more of a serious mindset than to just kind of like,
oh, for sure,
like
I told myself that the next girl I seriously date, this is after that nurse dumped me on New Year's Day 2020. I said the next girl I date seriously is the girl I'm going to marry, period. And I did, in that interim between meeting Chaehyun and that dump, like I dated maybe 3 people. And I knew within like basically 2 months whether it was just sex that I liked or whether I liked them as a partner. No shade against any of those exes, by the way. Like they're all really like sweet, nice girls. But I had to make that decision that, okay, whatever I'm looking for next, I need to make sure like these are first of all compatible with me and are going to like supplement me rather than just like compliment me.
What age do you think it would have been worse to be experiencing COVID in terms of like your ability to like
to date
or like consider like relationships seriously?
Probably like right out of college, like when you should be working and meeting people, I would say, or late 20s. Because most people are either in long-term relationships by their late 20s or they've just broken up. I think that's like a statistic or something I've talked about with friends before. So I feel like that time period would have been really tough not being able to go on dates.
I know like I had literally broken up right like the months right before COVID with my long-term girlfriend. And yeah, there was just like a 2-year period where like you didn't really get to meet people very easily.
Yeah.
I mean, I am very social, but like we would hang out just like with the same handful of friends. Yeah, and like I don't know, it is kind of like it is a bit of a bummer, I guess. If I'm looking back on it in some ways, it's a lot of time lost, I guess, right?
Well, I'll put it this way: I'm so grateful that COVID happened. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come back to Korea and met Jay. And I'm also grateful COVID happened because it gave me and her a reason to really hang out quite a bit and accelerate the getting to know each other process. It also like kind of forced us to talk about health a lot, which is not something I ever have talked about with a significant other. Like in those ways, like Jaehyun's the first girl who like kind of also looked at me as like a potential mate. I feel like a lot of the girls I was dating before, it was very flirtatious and fun because it was mostly physical. A lot of it was online dating. So like, I don't know, just I'm looking forward to seeing how, now that we have more freedom to like travel, first of all, I'm looking at, options of where to like live now after I move out of Gyeongnidan. Like, I just want to just continue seeing how, now that our kind of like honeymoon phase of this bubble is inevitably going to burst. Like all of what we have, as beautiful as it is as friends, we're gonna have to move on at some point, and we're not gonna be living near you guys anymore. We might live in Jamwon, we might live in Seongsu, we might live in America. I think up until this point, it's been super easy, to be honest. Like having everyone around, having all the resources, all the socializing that you could ever want. Like it's kind of something I love, but I know that I'm a creature of comfort, and I need to get out of that to like. This sounds so corny, but I need to do that in order to go to the next stage of development as an adult. Like and Jaehyun definitely can. She's gonna get us there because she's the one kind of steering that part of the ship. You know what I mean? I'm kind of a man child at the end of the day.
Such a stereotype.
It's true. I mean, don't get it wrong though. Jaehyun like interfaces as very like adult and stuff, but she's also a child, which is why we work so well.
No, I think Jaehyun is so great. Like, there's a lot of when I interact with her, there's like a lot of really strong balance.
Yeah.
Just like about her, I really appreciate like her energy for sure.
Yeah. So, and with all that said, we'll see exactly how all that manifests itself. Like when we, like, you know, have a kid, or if we have a kid. She wants to get a dog, and so like that's gonna be interesting to see how we raise a dog. Even I can barely feed and wipe myself. Yeah.
I'm excited to see, you know, what's in store for you, because I've known you for like 2.5 years, and I've only known you as this version of Aaron, but
The
like
tequila magician.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, yeah, tequila musician, but you know, you moving out of this area, not having, I don't want to say not having the freedom, but like having more responsibility to where you can't like hang out all the time. And that's
going to be hard for me, I know, but that's something that we've talked about for sure. Right. I need to like see my friends, but see, Jaehyun's like super supportive of that. That's never actually been an issue. It's more like, responsibilities, I guess. Like, oh, we need to get dinner with your parents because we said we'd try to do that once every few weeks. And even though maybe it'll be improv day, like I know this is going to probably happen a lot in the future. Like Sunday nights are a great night to get dinner with Jay's parents. It also coincides with improv nights. Her parents kind of get precedence right now over that. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, we're lucky because like Jaehyun is not just your girlfriend, fiance. She's like our friend. And I know I have friends who, you know, are in relationships or are married, and that's not necessarily the case, right?
That's true. And I mean, we don't have to get too into it, but there was a point in our relationship where she felt like she wasn't anyone's friend. She was Aaron's girlfriend, which is very natural because, you know, she came into the group as my girlfriend, as a girl I met on Bumble and stuff like that. That's how you guys met her. But she's very grateful, and so am I, that, she isn't just, her sort of identity isn't hinged on mine. Like, that's the last thing I want. I really want her to, like, be Jaehyun. I think one of the first things I told her when we started dating was that my goal in life is to just live beautifully, which is like, maybe that means that, you know, our kid is homeschooled for a few years before we decide to, your parents want to put their kids in private school and we accept their money or something like, but I want us to live differently and beautifully. I don't want to live in a high rise. I don't want to send our kids to international schools. I want them to like go to public schools if I can.
They're going to Montessori.
Yeah. Or something, you know, I want to like raise like a dope kid. And a lot that just takes a lot of work from the parents, because I think the day-to-day reality of raising a kid is so like hard that you can forget your thesis. Like, what's the point of this? And if I don't want to like forget my thesis, is like live beautifully, impart wisdom, impart empathy, like be patient, raise the kid in the way that, in an environment that teaches them rather than like teaching them verbally, I guess, which is tough. It means that Jay and I have to constantly be on the same page, which leads to more friction, because it's way easier to kind of do your own thing and then meet in the middle later rather than be on the same page about everything. But we're learning like very much how to like tackle problems and like compromise, I guess, is a great word. Yeah. Anyway,
for sure.
Where's Pauly? I thought Pauly was gonna come.
Let me sidebar on that. Should I just do while it's recording?
Sure.
He put his clothing in the laundry, and then it's only gonna take 25 more minutes, I guess. And so he's like, I think it just makes sense to just like put it in the dryer and then come.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, that's totally fine. But in that case, Pauly, I'm sorry, but you're getting cut from the episode. We only have a limited recording time, and so I guess this is just purely the Bachelor Boys episode, or what should we call this one? How I Met Your Mother.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or just The Bachelors.
The Bachelors. Ooh, that's not bad. Okay. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of the Side Dish Podcast. Thank you for listening to my story if you were curious at all. And thank you for my friends for being there for me and Jaehyun.
My pleasure.
Congrats.
Thanks, brothers. Thanks, guys. With that said, we'll catch you guys in the next episode.
Peace.